YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage back with more Rome 2 online replay battles here. So let's get things started. This time, as I said before, Jonasny joined my team, so it's Jonasny and I versus Archduke and Prussian Prince. Prussian Prince is Rome, Archduke is Seleucids, and I'm playing as Baktria. So my goal in each one of these battles you're going to be seeing for a while is just for me to represent a faction that I haven't showed you in multiplayer yet. Yes, my opponents have used Baktria, but I haven't used them. And then also you're going to see my opponents and teammates using other armies too, so I figured you'd like this. So here we are at the Battle of Demeti. This is going to be an open ground battle, and Jonasny has brought a spam army just for lulz. He's got a spam of Spartan pikemen with a Heroes of Sparta general. So Spartan pikemen, since pikemen are stronger, are really the only redeeming quality of Sparta. Sparta is terrible as a faction in patch 9 because they have no sword infantry and they have no decent cav and their skirmishers are weak. So the only thing that Sparta can do well is provide a crap load of pikes. The thing is, it's a challenge for you because you don't really have the type of skirmishers to effectively pike box, and you don't have the effective cav to really support pikes as a main line. And your skirmishers probably aren't going to win an engagement. Maybe if you just manage to bring a ton of skirmishers and your opponent brings none, you'll be alright. But anyway, let's take a look at the overhead and kind of show you what's going on. This is Jonasny's pike spam. Part of it's mixed in with mine. I've brought Baktria, and as Baktria, I brought a very similar army to what I brought with Athens. I think I have 8 pikemen. I have, let's see, 2 Eastern Javelinmen there. I believe I have 4 Eastern Slingers, 2 Scorpions. This is going to be a little different. And then I've got an Indian Armored Elephant, a Citizen Cav, and then on this other flank I've got 2 Bactrian Noble Horse, which are heavier melee cav. So Bactrian Noble Horse are going to be pretty good in a prolonged fight against cav as long as they don't get charged. They'll also be pretty good in a prolonged fight versus sword infantry as long as they're not super heavy and as long as you didn't charge them from the front. So that's why I bring these units, is to help assist my pikemen. They do have a bonus of 20 versus infantry, so it makes them fairly effective. Now you hear my Scorpions firing away here. They're firing bolts out here at the cataphracts, and this is precisely why I brought the Scorpions. Not to shoot at elephants, but to shoot at cataphracts. Cataphracts now cost 1,400 talents, and if I can use a couple of Scorpions and nullify a cataphract unit, it was cost effective. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I managed to get a few kills and then chase them outside of range. So this is going to limit the mobility of the Seleucid player because he's going to be hesitant to ever bring his cataphract within range of my Scorpions. Now Jonasny is just pushing, and the reason he has to do this is because Prussian Prince has a lot of Balearic Slingers as Rome. And you can see these Perioculi pikemen already getting dumped on by the Balearic Slingers. So pikemen are vulnerable to Slingers. Now remember, this is a full-on spam. So what Prussian Prince is going to do is just continually avoid the engagement, and what Jonasny is going to do is try and make it impossible for Prussian Prince to be able to get around his flank. It's pretty straightforward. And I'm going to try and support Jonasny in this. Now the thing is, if these Romans ever get into a soft flank of our pikemen, it's over. And Prussian Prince has 4 Triari out here, actually. It's an interesting unit to bring versus Sparta. He maybe brought it to help against me, so he's got the Triari to help in case I came cav heavy with Baktria. That's got to be his reasoning there. And his infantry line is some Eagle cohorts mixed with Legionary cohorts. And that's going to be for the Encourage ability that you get from the Eagle cohort. Let's see, there's a Legionary cohort. There's the Eagle cohort. You can actually see the golden eagle there, the Legionary standard. Cool stuff. And he's got these 4 Balearic Slingers. And right now it's just a matter of chasing down our opponents and trying to pin them in the corner. If we can pin them in the corner, we'll be in good shape, because Jonas wants an engagement as soon as he can get it. And for me, I can skirmish, but since Jonasny needs to engage right away, I'm going to try and do the same and engage right away. And again, you can see him trying to wrap the Roman flank here so that there's no way out except for headlong. Because again, what I was saying earlier, in the past video is true. Pikes from head-on are very strong. If you can get around their flank, not so much. So that's one of the things that we need to try and make sure of here, is that we don't get units around our flank. But, you know, as much as pikes are great from the front, they have the issue of they need to be able to maneuver and reform before they're effective, so see them reforming there. They're not going to be effective until they've reformed, and that's assuming that you've reformed in such a way that they're going to be able to block the enemy effectively. So right now it's looking quite good for Jonas and I as we push forward on Prussian Prince and his teammate. We've got them cornered up.
Forward!
So I haven't showed you the Seleucid army yet. We should take a look at it. Let's see, he's got 2 silver shield pikemen there. I would not recommend doing this. They're not that good and they're quite expensive. He's got a thorax pike, thorax pike, thorax pike. Wow, 4 more thorax pikes. So he's got an expensive pike line. These pikes are strong, and head on, they could beat Jonas and these pikes, no question. But I have this cav threatening their flank too, which is why he's going to try and line up close to the red line. And a lot of people will be like, oh, the red line camping. Yeah, well, we spammed pikes. So, I mean, what else are you going to do? Anyway, over here, Jonas was not able to get all the way to the line, and Prussian Prince has snuck some auxiliary Numidian cav around. Right now they're throwing javelins into his pikemen. I find javelin cav to be pretty worthless, to be honest. The Galatian one's okay because it kind of serves as jav cav and light cav, but most of the rest of these jav cav units are worthless. They get beat by skirmishers easily, either with missiles or the skirmishers can kind of stand in melee and fight and win sometimes. So yeah, I just don't find them useful. Since they have great attack, but since there's fewer men and they throw fewer javelins, they're less effective, and you pay just as much for them as you do for a peltist unit. I'd rather just have a peltist unit. Now, they do get kills. Not trying to say they don't, but whether or not it's cost effective is another story, because these were just perioikoi pikemen. So, now here Jonas got caught in an engagement with some Triarii that may not be real favorable for him. Triarii are actually a pretty sturdy unit here. You see that they've got great melee defense, decent attack, decent weapon damage, bonus versus large. I mean, these units could hold their own against infantry or cavalry for quite a while. Plus, I believe they have I thought they had the encourage ability. They may not, though. It's hard to say. Alright, so over here we're pushing the flank of the Seleucids. I'm trying to get my elephants into the back of his pikes, but I'm hesitant because if I do it at the wrong moment, my elephants are going to get killed. So it definitely worries me. I'm kind of wanting Jonas to go ahead and engage so I can try and get it behind these pikemen.
Engage!
I go ahead and get a little jumpy here, though, and order a charge. His pikemen see that, though. They reformed kind of just in time. Not quite enough, so I do manage to push through him. But it slowed my elephants down, and then he turns this pike unit too, and look, boom, takes out a pikeman. And my elephants now start to die way sooner than I'd like for them to. So that was way too hasty for me because these guys haven't paid themselves off. They cost a lot, and the only way that they'd be worth it is if I killed like probably 1.5 at least of these silver shield pikemen because of their cost. I do manage to get them moving again, because that's the important thing with these elephants is you got to keep them moving, and I get them right into the side of all these thorax pikes. Now these elephants will start to pay for themselves. I've now killed over an entire unit's worth of pikes at 700, and some of the ones that are more expensive towards 1,000, so my elephants will still have to do some more killing, though, to find out whether or not they pay for them. It has allowed Jonas to get the engagement that he needs, though. And again, you saw how dangerous it was for me to attack these pikes without my elephants making sure they got to the flank. I darn near lost all of them if I wouldn't have gotten in there but a second later. You can see these pikemen trying to reform, but they just can't because my elephants are in the mist. So I go back here, take out these Syrian heavy archers. I don't want them to run my elephants amok. And at this point, I believe my elephants probably have paid for themselves, because they've killed like basically 2 units worth of men. 1 thorax pike. There's several thorax pikes actually are routed now that they assisted with. So these guys have paid for themselves, but it's still risky. And I see these legionary cohorts thinking they'll be an easy kill too. But Prussian Prince, it looks like he braced here, and then there was a whole bunch of missile fire that came in there. Sorry, my antivirus software popped up all of a sudden, wanting me to update or something. Anyway, he shot a bunch of missiles in, and my elephants finally just kicked the bucket right in front of his legionary cohort, so these guys got lucky and managed to live. But anyway, so that was the end of my elephants. Now the battle has actually kind of turned sour for us. Because Prussian Prince was able to get on the flank, of Jonasny over here. He defeated all of his pikemen in this vicinity. So now I'm in trouble because Prussian Prince is kind of pushing towards me. He's still got ammo in his Balearic Slingers, so these guys are a danger to me because my pikemen are weak just like Prussian Prince's, and I just have Eastern Slingers. His Balearic Slingers are superior. But Jonas does still have a ton more pikes that he can try and bring in from this direction. But right now he's hung up trying to kill this Silver Shield pikeman, which isn't facing the right... Well, actually those are Spartan pikemen. Silver Shield pikeman seems to be dispersed and out of formation. Yeah, because here's part of it over here. That's weird. Yeah, so I've kind of got my own pike bot going on right now. I'm using my Slingers to kill some of Prussian Prince's infantry, his legionary cohort. I figure if I can kill as many of his infantry as I can, it's going to make it harder for him to potentially win. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some of my ammo on him. And then check this out, there's two Slingers back here that I just totally forgot about. Or Eastern Javelin men. And they would be extremely handy in this fight. You got to watch stuff like that so that you don't make that mistake. Those Eastern Javelin men would be fantastic at taking out one of these Roman cohorts really quickly. It helps prevent them from flanking. Again, Eastern Javelin men kind of serve like almost kind of like a matchlock from Shogun 2. They can quickly decimate a heavily armored infantry unit, and they can also help get to kill elephants where most other units aren't capable of it. Check it out, all Prussian Prince has to do is just run away from Spartan pikemen. And Prussian Prince is focus firing on this pikeman right here. I'm trying to get my Slingers in a position to return fire, but he keeps putting pressure on the front of my line. And this is one of the downsides to pikes. I have to keep my guys behind him for protection, and it makes it hard for me to push forward, whereas Prussian Prince can expend his ammo on my pikes and start to make holes in my line. And that's exactly what he's trying to do here, is create holes. Now Jonas eventually kills this Silver Shield pike, which lasts an amazingly long time in combat, but it only got 20 kills, so definitely not cost effective. And it's still not looking like a completely lost cause for Jonas and I, but it's kind of up in the air what'll happen right now. These Romans kind of get into my flank a little bit here. You can see my pikemen not really pointed in the right direction. They finally get turned, but that's an Eagle cohort, which is a fairly strong unit. And now that they're up against my guys here, they're not fighting very effectively. And I can't really turn any of these guys to help because there's all this Seleucid cav and Roman infantry threatening me right here. This is the proper way to deal with the pike box. You create a weakness, exploit it, and then you have other units waiting to exploit that whenever they have to, I have to peel away. So for instance, I'm trying to defend this area, so Prussian Prince is creating a weakness here, and then he's going to be ready to exploit it, so if I turn to try and help, he's going to exploit here, or here, even over here. Again, focus firing his Slingers into one unit at a time, and he's causing a lot of damage to my pikemen. Pikemen are vulnerable, even from the front, to a unit like Slingers or Peltist, so they can easily be killed that way. Again, Balearic Slingers not fantastic against, say, like a Roman unit head-on or a hoplite head-on. They can kill them, but head-on you're going to expend a lot of ammo before you actually kill anything. But against pikemen it's a different story because their shield value is less, so that's something to be aware of.
Understood.
Let's see, so Prussian Prince is just biding his time with his infantry here. I'm trying to kill some of his Slingers with my own. Gotta be careful though, he's got his Legatus here, and I've got to keep my Slingers protected. Though I did manage to kill a number of his Balearic Slingers, but for the most part they're intact. 218 kills there, 149 kills, 142 kills. Prussian Prince has definitely got a lot of Slingers left. I've still got my Cav though, but we're trying to form up kind of a last-second noob box here because we're starting to lose the advantage. I think it was at this point that Jonas starts to point out that I forgot my Javelin men, but it was too late. There's no way I'm going to get him here to participate, and even if I do get him this way, there's Seleucid cav running around that can completely wreck him. But Jonas's pikes here are not quite in the noob box with us, so they're going to get caught out of line, and that's not good. I'm trying to bring my cav around though. I'm going to try and swing around and get into Prussian Prince's skirmishers this way. Sorry, that should be a red arrow. And try and get into his skirmishers because the Seleucid cav is chasing me. So I'm just going to lead him on around, ring around the rosy kind of thing here and come out. So we've got our pike box set up. The problem is the Prussian Prince still has skirmishers, and we still have cav that I'd like to defend that now I really can't. So, and our pike box isn't really big enough for what skirmishers I have left to be effective. I do have my scorpions still firing, and I'm still taking shots at cataphracts, and I am killing a fair few of the cataphracts. But to be honest, cataphracts aren't the biggest threat to me right now. While we're in the pike box, we're safe from them. The biggest threat to me is his Balearic Slingers, but scorpions wouldn't do much to Balearic Slingers anyway, so I'll just keep expending them on the cataphracts. After you get rid of the hit points on the cataphracts, I find scorpions to be pretty useful against them because they're fairly accurate versus a large target like cataphracts. Not real accurate against a smaller target though. You could potentially use them against elite infantry effectively though. But yeah, see, these 1400 talent units now are down to almost half strength in my scorpions, so that means technically speaking my scorpions did pay for themselves, but they didn't buy me any extra advantage because here we are still in a pike box. Jonas's remaining units that aren't the pike box are here fighting still. The Prussian Prince is slowly but surely outmaneuvering them the way that you're supposed to. Here comes that's a Numidian cav, I think, that just came into the back of his pikemen. Yeah, Numidian cav. So you can see Prussian Prince trying to kill these pikemen faster and with fewer losses because he knows he still has a pike box to face. And here comes some Seleucid cav to try and help complete this. My cav is out here killing some of these Balearic Slingers, so finally I got to them. But unfortunately for me, the damage that the Balearic Slingers have done is done, and two of them are still alive over here. Don't know if they have any ammo. We can find out. Nope, those guys have swords out, and so do they. So Prussian Prince is finally out of ammo, but in all reality, our little pike box here probably won't survive this kind of assault. There's a few things that Prussian Prince and them could try to help. One thing they can do is, if their units still have javelins, they can click attack orders until they throw their javelins, and then you can just pull back and do it again until you've used all your javelins. So that's one thing you can do. This Median cav here is actually pretty darn good melee cav, and I have to be aware of it. My Baktria noble horse is better, but it would be a long, drawn-out fight. These Romans are sitting here, so I decided to charge them from behind. A melee cav's not a heavy charge unit, so more or less I'm going to end up knocking a lot of his men down, not necessarily killing them. But that was a fair few kills there. I got about 20 kills for almost nothing on my part, so that was worth it. Look at my scorpions out here. I don't know how they got outside the pike box. We got Glitchy the Glitch here. Decided to hammer and anvil Prussian Prince's guys who are working on the corner of our pike box because, again, Prussian Prince is doing the smart thing. He's going to try and create a weakness here, and then he had units sitting here ready to exploit it when I turned. But at this point, I can't get away from the Seleucid cav any longer, and our pike box is being assaulted from every flank. You can see, though, that these Roman units do have a harder time getting into the pikes. Some of them can still get in there, but they take more losses doing it. And again, it's not an instant kill from the front for the pikes either, so I actually like the mechanic the way they have it. Pike boxes are pretty strong if they're used properly as far as having a bunch of skirmishers in it, but they're not unbeatable. And I find that this mechanic now makes pikes feasible, and I like it because now there's not just the mechanics of a sword fight in the battle. You can't just trample infantry head-on with cav like you used to be able to. But some people still don't like the fact that you can't do that, but I like it. I don't think cav should be used for a head-on engagement versus infantry anyway. It's just not really what cav typically did in this time period, since they didn't really have good stirrups and stuff for charges. But I mean, this is just speculation on my part. I didn't live then. I don't know. All I'm saying is I like the mechanic that they have going in this patch. I think it's good. And here you can see that our little pike spam was defeated. So Prussian Prince and Archduke pulled out the win there. We just did not get enough kills. We had a ton of men between the two of us, but just did not get the kills. Look at all the kills that Prussian Prince gets. Unbelievable number of kills. Legionary cohort there with 246. These Balearic Slingers cleaned house. Prussian Prince did very well with them. Very well. Even his Triari got a number of kills, so all of his units ended up being very useful. And there, Jonas only had 1 or 2 units that got enough kills to pay for him, and then probably the same thing with me. Yeah, all of my pikemen just got owned. My Slingers didn't do very good. This Baktria noble horse, okay. Elephants, okay. Scorpions, okay, but wasn't enough to make the difference. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed that. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.